I want to welcome each of you to week 4 of PEAT 4501, your Residency 1 practicum. This week, due to scheduling issues, especially with us returning from the TAFER convention and with your requirements at the school, I believed it was fitting for us just to have kind of an online tutorial to completing task 2, your instruction portion of your mini EdTPA. There's a few things I want to go over with you this week, so I'm going to be shuffling from one item to another. So just follow along as we go through each of these items and we try to help you better understand task 2 for your mini EdTPA. I was looking at your submissions for previous work, and I noticed that some of you are not submitting things either at all, or you're not submitting things on time. So I needed to go back and review some policies with you in the syllabus to make sure you have a very good understanding of what the expectation is when you're taking this course. So if you look at the syllabus and just follow along here with me, in the evaluation and grading policies, notice grades of A to F will be assigned for performance in the clinical placement along with the submission of written assignments. Students must receive a course grade of C or better in order to move to Residency 2. And then again, any days missed must be made up at the end of your clinical experience. So as a reminder, what are the things that are going to be used to determine your overall grade? Your clinical placement requirements, okay, and that's everything you're doing at your school and that you're doing with your residency supervisor. That's a total of 302 points. My expectation is that you would have a really high score on this portion if you're doing everything that's required of you. And then the portion with me, you have the seminar portion, and it's a total of 265 points. So just a little less than 50% of your grade is coming from what you're doing with me. Now the context for learning is worth 50 points. Everybody turned that in on time. Now just let me remind you, when we met, I said I would extend the deadline to 11:59 p.m. on Fridays. So I've gone in and I've made that adjustment. However, I still have noticed that some of you are not submitting your work and some of you are. However, it's past the due date. And so again, those are things that you have to communicate with me in regards to not submitting work on time. So please make sure you're doing that. It's vital that we get everything turned in on time so that we can receive a maximum score. I realize that you're student teaching and I realize that you have a lot going on, but there have been other people in your shoes who have done the exact same thing, me included. It's a lot of work. It's going to be beneficial for you, but the expectation is that we get everything turned in on time. If you're doing that, great. I'm very appreciative of that. If you're not, again, let's make an effort to try to get things turned in on time. Central focus, key concepts. The academic language supports, we changed that to your lesson outlines. And then finally, EdTPA Task 1. This is where I'm really disappointed because I'm missing a lot on the Task 1. So I was disappointed it wasn't turned in on time. So please make sure when you do Task 2, okay, which is going to be due next week, that you get that turned in on time. And we'll go over that here in a minute. So just in review, make sure you're doing your work, getting things turned in on time so that we can maximize this score. So if you look at the grading scale, you have 93% to 100%, point range of 525 to 567. Now, anything below 76% requires retaking the course. What's 76%? 428 points. So if you're below 428 points, then we have trouble. So you do want to make sure that you're getting everything done. Please make sure that you're taking care of everything that is due. Late assignments are not accepted, okay, unless you spoke to me about it and we worked out an agreement. That can happen, and that is something that we can definitely do, but you need to make sure that communication takes place with me. So let's scroll down to our calendar. We're through week 1 and week 2. Now, looking at other things that are due. There is no grade for your video clips, but I have received 0 emails giving me the link to your YouTube clips. Now, notice the due date. It was yesterday. So I should have received 3 emails with links to your 20-minute clip or your 2 10-minute clips. So I have 0 to account for. So that needs to be submitted, okay, by the end of today. Because in your syllabus it says November 9th, but as I said before, I told you that I would extend the deadline to the end of Friday, since that is the end of your typical work week. So you have until the end of tonight, assuming you watch this video when I send it to you, to get those video links submitted to me. Now, I will send out an email here in a minute, so you should be receiving an email from me as well. And then what we're going to talk about this week is we are going to look at finishing task 2. So notice here, week 4, November 9th. Typically we meet on Thursdays, but we couldn't this past or yesterday. And the other thing we're going to look at is we're going to talk just for just a minute about video clips. And then also the instruction commentary. So the majority of my video is going to be related to your instruction commentary. And so by November 17th, which is next Friday, you'll need to submit task 2 commentary. So please make sure you're working on that to get that completed. Now, one of the things that's posted on eCourseware is a PowerPoint presentation which looks into instructing, engaging students in learning, which is related to task 2. The purpose of this PowerPoint is just to give you a little bit of a introduction to task 2, but also just to kind of give you an idea of what the expectation is. So this is only a 12-slide presentation, so in your own time, please take a moment just to look at the PowerPoint to kind of gain a better understanding of what task 2 represents. For example, environment. You want it to be safe. You want it to be supportive. You want to have an effective curriculum planning, effective teaching strategies, classroom procedures. Those are all things that you've learned in your time in the physical education program. Now you get an opportunity to provide evidence of that taking place in your EdTPA. And so when we look at the commentary here in just a minute, you're going to see some examples of how environment is discussed during task 2. Rapport, respect, approachability, open communication, caring. To me, this should happen without effort. I think most teachers want to show care towards their students. They want to have a level of respect. They want students to be able to enjoy, to be with them, to approach them whenever they have any concerns or things they want to share with the teacher. And so here we have a description of what each of those terms represent. Engagement. Look at the descriptors for engagement. They are attracted to the work. They persist in the work despite challenges and obstacles, and they take viable or visible delight in accomplishing the work. So think about your classroom environment. If somebody was to walk in, are they going to recognize this among your students? And then we look at research, and notice what it says. 10 years of research suggests that students are energized by 4 goals. Success. Are we setting them up for success? Are we doing the things that's going to increase their overall confidence? Curiosity. Okay. When you are teaching their lesson, do you grab their attention? Are they curious about what we're teaching them, and is that helping them to get engaged in the activity? Originality. We're not doing the same thing over and over again. Each day brings a fresh idea as it relates to teaching physical education. And then satisfying relationships, and I think that goes back to the environment. So when we think about satisfying relationships, students want to enjoy being with their peers. They want to enjoy being with a teacher. They want to be in an environment where learning is encouraged. So again, you can look at this in your own time, but this is just a great way of better understanding what task 2 represents. And so what I want to do now is I want us to take a look at the instruction commentary and just take a closer look at what the expectation is and the things that are required from you. And so when we look at task 2 instruction commentary, let's just focus on what they want you to include. Which lesson or lessons are shown in the video clips? Identify the lessons by lesson plan number. Part 2, promoting a positive learning environment. So here we already see that term from the PowerPoint, environment. Refer to scenes in the video clips where you provided a safe, respectful, and organized learning environment. Part A, describe how you provided a positive, low-risk emotionally and physically safe environment. Part B, explain how rules and routines and transitions maximize student engagement in the lesson. In other words, your protocols, what impact do they make? What are you doing to minimize the amount of management time? Anytime a scorer is looking at your videos, what they want to see is they want to see students engaged. They want to see limited time used towards instruction. In other words, you're not just talking for the sake of talking. And they want to see students actively engaged in the learning. Which leads us to number 3, engaging students in learning. Refer to examples from the video clips in your response to the prompt. Explain how you actively engage students in learning tasks aligned with the objectives of the lesson in the psychomotor domain and at least one other learning domain, cognitive or affective, or in order to receive a higher grade, cognitive and affective. Number 4, strengthening student competencies. Explain how you actively monitor students' actions during the learning task and ask questions or provided corrective feedback to improve student competencies. Here's where we highlight the learning cues. So when you're giving feedback to a student, how are you incorporating the learning cues, which can be related to academic language, helping them to better understand what it is they did incorrectly and trying to make improvements so that student learning occurs. Explain how you use instructional cues and prompts, explorations, demonstrations, and or student analysis of their own and or others' psychomotor skills to develop student competencies in the psychomotor and at least one other learning domain. So again, always attempting to highlight not only psychomotor, but cognitive and affective. And so when you're doing this, think about the things you're doing that's increasing student learning. Highlight that work that's being done. Find parts in the video clip where you are making an effort to try to improve student understanding. Analyze teaching. What changes would you make to your instruction for the whole class and or for students who need greater support or challenge to better support student learning of the central focus? All great teachers, when they look at their lesson, realize things that they could have done a better job with. And so what they're asking you to do here is they want you to look at your teaching to determine what could have been better. What could I have done to improve the overall effectiveness of this lesson? And that just shows a higher order level of thinking from you as you're reviewing your lesson. Part B, why do you think these changes would improve student learning? Support your explanation with evidence of student learning and principles from theory and or research. So here is where we see an example of where we can use theory or research to support our responses. Why do you think these changes would improve student learning? Okay, so for example, if you highlight something that you believe would support student learning, has there been research done on that? Has research showed that approach has been found to be effective? If so, use that research to support it. And so as a reminder, you can go to the website in one of our folders for your class is a folder on research and theory, so you can look at some examples that may potentially assist you. If you need assistance on how to find articles related to a certain topic, just let me know. I can walk you through that to ensure that you find the resources that are needed to enhance your work for Task 2 instruction commentary. So that kind of gives you a brief understanding of Task 2 commentary. I'm going to finish this video with that. In my next video, we're going to take a closer look at an example of Task 2 commentary, and then we'll also look at the rubrics to better understand what that expectation is.